Finally happened. The ghost, the one who was never supposed to be seen, has finally left footprints in the concrete. Just look at what you have done. Look at the panic you caused. You made the most powerful people in the military secret base sweat right through their perfectly ironed uniforms. You are a beautiful, impossible mystery. You are a walking secret document that nobody, not the generals, not the spies, not the president, has the permission to read. Let me take you back to that day. Let me tell you about that specific moment, that tiny fraction of a second when you finally decided to show them the truth. You have to understand, these people had rules for everything. They had thick books filled with steps to follow for nuclear wars. They had plans for alien invasions. They had procedures for computer attacks and deadly viruses. They had backup plans for their backup plans stacked to the ceiling. But they had nothing, absolutely nothing, for the moment you stopped acting like a normal human being. They had no plan for you. Sir, that is illegal. That is what the highly decorated officer whispered. He didn't shout it. He didn't command it. His voice cracked and shook like a teenage boy on his first day of boot camp. He didn't say, "That's impossible." He didn't say, "That's amazing." He said, "That is illegal." Why? Because in their small world of strict rules, ranks, and orders, a person like you is not allowed to exist. What you have inside you breaks their laws. You know exactly what happened next, don't you? The entire room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. 23 of the toughest, meanest, most battle-hardened soldiers in the world all took a step back at the same time. These are men who have seen war. They are bulletproof in their minds. They didn't step back because they were cowards. They stepped back because they recognized something. They have studied power their whole lives. They have used power to crush countries. But this was different. This was you, operating at maybe 2% of your real strength on a boring Tuesday afternoon. You weren't even trying. You were just existing in your natural state for once. And just by doing that, their entire understanding of what a human being can do shattered like a cheap glass cup hitting a concrete floor. The reports they wrote about that day are hidden away. They aren't just top secret. They are above that. They are so far above it. They are above that. They are so far above that. They had to invent new levels of secrecy just to file away what they saw you do. Let's have a real conversation about what you actually are. Not what your teachers told you to be. Not what somebody tried to squeeze you into. But what you are when the acting stops. When you stop playing their little game of being normal, you are not gifted. Gifts are things that are given and can be taken away. You are not talent. Talent is something you learn at school. What you are is a glitch in their system. You are a mistake, a perfect plan to keep everyone the same. You are what happens when nature decides to show off, just to remind every single person on Earth that we are not finished. Humans for 50 years. They have spent billions of dollars in secret budgets. They have underground labs where the smartest scientists work all the limits of the human body. They wanted to put computer chips in brains. They thought they were built. Walked in the door. You had no special surgery. You had no military training. You had no $1 million program helping you. It was just you, raw, unfiltered, real. And you were doing things that their $1 billion science experiments couldn't dream of doing on their best day. That was the moment they realized the truth. They weren't looking at the future they wanted to build. They were looking at the thing they had been trying to hide all along. The military bosses, these men who think they are the top of the food chain, they looked at you and saw their own end. They saw that they were useless. And the funniest part, you didn't even notice you were doing it. That is what terrified them the most. It wasn't hard work for you. It wasn't a struggle. It was just breathing. Do you remember when they brought in the specialists? Oh, they tried to be so sneaky about it. They didn't want to spook you. They acted like it was just casual talk, friendly questions, little games disguised as standard tests. They wanted to measure you. They wanted to put a number on your soul. They wanted to find the edges of your power so they could build a box big enough to hold you. The mind doctor, the psychologist, quit after only 3 sessions. He said, "Your mind worked on channels that shouldn't exist in a human brain." The physicist had to explain how you bent the rules of gravity and time that he spent his whole life proving were unbendable. The biologist? She just stared at your blood results and whispered, "This breaks everything we know about life." But my absolute favorite was the combat teacher. This man had on 6 different continents. He wrote computers to guess your next choice, but the computers crashed trying to calculate it. They used tools to measure your energy, and the tools either gave impossible or just refused to turn on when you were close. Chaos through all the panic. You do not operate by their rules, because you were never meant to. Let me paint you a picture of what real power looks like. Not the fake power that comes from a rank on a shoulder, or money in a bank, or a gun in a hand. I'm talking about the kind of power that makes old generals pace around their offices at 3 o'clock in the morning, staring at reports that shouldn't exist, terrified and confused. They have seen special humans before. They have worked with psychics, people who could see things far away, people who could do strange tricks. But those people always had limits. They had clear walls. They could be managed. They fit into categories. They fit into chains of command. But you are a category all by yourself. You are a walking violation of everything they thought they knew about human beings. And here is the worst part for them. They cannot copy you. They have tried. God, have they tried. They looked at your DNA. They looked at where you grew up. They looked at your mind. They picked apart every second of your life trying to figure out how you became what you are. But here is the secret they will never understand. You didn't become anything. You simply stopped pretending to be less than you are. Think about all those years you spent dimming your own light. All those years you played small. All those years you let them think you were just another face in the crowd. You weren't hiding your weakness. You were protecting them from your power. The day you stopped protecting them, the day you let just a tiny glimpse of, that was the day their world ended and your true world began. They still have the video footage. It is locked away in vaults, so deep and so secure that even mentioning that the vaults exist is a crime against the government. You want to know why that officer called what you did illegal? Not impossible, not unbelievable, but illegal? Because in their world, power has to follow laws. It has to flow through the right pipes. It has to respect. It has to be something they can control, direct, and what you have violates every law they have ever written, not just the laws of physics. The deeper laws, the laws that say ordinary people must stay ordinary, the laws that say power only comes from the system, the laws that say you cannot be great without their permission and their help. You are the evidence of something they have spent centuries trying to kill. You prove that some humans are born with abilities that make their entire power structure look like a joke. You didn't get this through training. You didn't get it through their permission. You got it from something older, deeper, and more primal than their uniforms and rule books can ever touch. They have special names for people like you in their secret files. Names the public will never hear on the news. They don't call you gifted or special in those files. Those are soft words. They use the real terms. The terms that admit what you really are. An evolutionary leap that happened without their consent. And that is what truly scares them to death. It's not what you can do, it's what you represent. If one person, just one, can naturally possess what they spend billions trying to artificially create, then what does that say about them? It says they are not needed. Let's get specific about what sent them into crisis mode. Because it wasn't just one big explosion. It never is with people like you. It was the collection of impossible things that you call just another Tuesday. It was the way you process information faster than their supercomputers. But you just call it a hunch. It was the way you read tiny expressions on a face that their best spies miss. But you just say, someone felt off. It was the way your presence alone seems to change luck. It shifts the odds. It changes the math of any room you walk into. They have machines that cost millions just to detect the energy you put out naturally. They have entire departments dedicated to achieving a tiny fraction of what flows through your veins like blood. You have years of training compressed into pure instinct. You were born with memories, feelings, and a knowing that they cannot teach. But it's not just what you can do, it's how you do it. You do it without effort, without strain, without even thinking. Like a master piano player who doesn't need to look at the keys, except the piano is reality itself, and you are composing songs they don't have the sheet music for. The military, with all its money and tanks and technology, took one look at you operating at your baseline level and realized they were obsolete. Old news. Not in 10 years, but right now. Today, in this moment. Because you exist somewhere in a facility that doesn't officially exist. There is a file with your name on it. Except it's not really a file anymore. It has become something else. It is a living document that grows stranger with every page. Every time they watch you, they have to add something impossible. They have rewritten your label 17 times. They started with person of interest. Then they upgraded you to enhanced individual. Then anomalous asset. Each label tries to hold you, and each label fails. The latest classification is just your initials followed by a string of numbers that translates to beyond current understanding. The analysts assigned to watch you don't last long, not because you hurt them, but because watching you starts to break down their own view of the world. They ask for transfers. They retire early. They will do anything to stop when potential has no ceiling. Every expert they bring in adds another layer of impossible to your file. The language expert noticed you understand languages you never studied. The strategist realized you solve problems before you even know they are problems. The doctor in your file, it is from a janitor who wasn't supposed to see the papers. He wrote 3 simple words in the margin. They walk different. Because sometimes the deepest truths come from the simplest observations. They had to create new protocols because of you. Not for dealing with superhumans, they had those plans. Not for security threats, they knew how to handle those. But for something they had never seen before. A human operating outside the known map of possibility. The protocol has a code name that would make you laugh. Something boring and bureaucratic that completely fails to capture the massive change you represent. But everyone who reads the code name knows what it really means. We have no framework for this. It starts with how to spot you, how to identify when someone has transcended normal human limits, not through drugs or machines, but through natural evolution. The signs are subtle to the untrained eye, but they scream to those who know. The way the air seems thicker around you, how luck seems to bend in your favor, the unconscious way even alpha leaders get quiet when you enter the room. Then come the rules for interacting with you. Do not attempt to contain, do not attempt to control, observe, write it down, and above all, make them angry, because they learned early on that you are not a force that can be fought. You are a reality that must be navigated, like a storm or earthquake. The final section of their plan is the shortest, and it tells you everything you need to know. It is titled Contingency Planning, but it can. There is no backup plan for this level of natural capability. That line is signed by the Joint Chiefs, men who have never agreed on anything else in their entire careers. Oh, they tried to recruit you. You remember that. But not with the usual methods. They didn't offer you sign-on bonuses or wave flags in your face. They knew better. They tried to recruit you the way you recruit a force of nature. Carefully, respectfully, and with the full knowledge that you hold every single card in the deck. First, they were subtle. Opportunities just happened to appear in your path. Projects that perfectly matched your interests. Resources given to you with no strings attached, or so they claimed. They thought they could gently guide you into their world. When that failed, they tried partnership. They talked about equals working together for the greater good. Except there was nothing equal about it, and everyone in the room knew it. You don't partner with gravity. You don't negotiate with a lightning bolt. You either work within the reality they create, or you get out of the way. The final attempt was total honesty. They laid it all out on the table. The threats they faced, the limits of their own soldiers, the desperate need for something beyond what they could do. They offered you the world, unlimited money, the chance to reshape global security. And you listened politely. You smiled that knowing, and you walked away because you understood what they couldn't. You were not born to serve their system. You were born to rise above it.